welcome. What's going on, y'all? Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to Wisdom Wednesdays with my very beautiful co-host, the butterfly, Tammy Gator, and myself. What's going on, y'all? How y'all
Good
doing this
morning,
morning?
good morning, good morning, beautiful people. Let us know you're out there. Hopefully, you've not had to wait on us too long, but good morning. Happy Wisdom Wednesday.
Good stuff.
What we got this morning? How are you doing? How's the week been for you?
Um, Pretty good week. Pretty good week. Pretty good week. Everything's well. Everything's well. Doing well.
Yeah,
Everything's fine. Good morning.
yeah.
Good morning. We miss
I will
last
admit,
Wednesday. Go ahead.
I've had a very, very tough week. I've had to eat my own words about staying
Mhm.
motivated, allowing myself to feel and just whatever, all the above, but still remain in the presence of God. I really had to do that. I had someone, um, I met a beautiful soul a couple of months back, and I think I've talked about her out while I was working. And she and I have been keeping in touch, but she's been just really connecting with me during a difficult time. And she said the other
Mhm.
day to me, she said, "What I love about you is that you keep God in it." Because I will
Mhm.
rant and rave. I'll say what I got to say and let her know how I feel. And she's an older lady, so I'm so thankful that God has put seasoned women in my life who know God, right, and who can encourage me. So I did my little spiel, and at the end I said, but in the end, to God be the glory, and you will get the glory, right? And so she came back with her text saying, "I just like how you always keep God in it." So I don't know any other way in this time in my life because I've tried both. I've tried both. I've
Mhm.
tried to where well, I won't say intentionally tried, right? But you're either on the fence or you're off. And when you're off, are you on the left or are you on the right? And what side is that, right, to you? So it's been tough, but I'm here,
Yeah.
you guys. I'm here.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Good stuff. It's interesting that you would say that and admit to that. Transparency is key, folks. Transparency is key. But the scripture I have this morning goes along with what you're talking about. It goes along with what you're talking about. Philippians 4:13. That's what Paul wrote when he was in prison. And I'll read a little bit of it and we'll get into it, dive right into it, right? And also it's the most well-known, one of the most well-known verses in the Bible. It reads, I can do all things through him who strengthens me. Simple as that. I can do all things through him who strengthens me. Now we think about that. What you guys think about when you hear that, right? Remember last week or a couple of weeks ago, I was talking about instructions from the Bible, instructions from the Bible,
Mm. Hmm.
basic instructions from the Bible,
Yeah, basic instructions before leaving Earth.
exactly
Right.
before leaving Earth, right? So Paul followed and remembered Jesus. Jesus sustained, and because Jesus went through it, he went completely through it, but he knew where his source was, where it generated his strength generated from. So Paul was reminded of that when he was in prison. He had to fall back on the teachings. He had to fall back on God's love
Mm.
for him. You see what I'm saying? And I resonate with that scripture for two reasons. The scripture comes from anybody who's followed Wisdom Wednesdays. They know I talk about Mama K a lot. It's an older lady that I have breakfast with every single morning at the club after my workouts. And she's always giving me scriptures. She'll just call me randomly. It could be in the middle of the night, first thing in the morning. Most of the time, it's first thing in the morning. And this time she called. It's been about a month. She gave me three scriptures, and she was like, "Well, God told me you should read this 3 times a day until Saturday." I was like, "Okay." So that was one of the scriptures. And during that time, a few weeks ago, I was dealing with neuro. I was back in neuro. I go to neuro, get touch-ups throughout the years after the plea to continue to work on the mobility. And neuro is very tough. It's very trying. It's very it's a different level of recovery. Let's just say that. So, and she didn't know that. She didn't know that. So I took it as my confirmation. I'm getting
Hmm.
ready to go through it. I need to be reminded that that's what strengthens me. And I got to rely on that. But
So, so
it got me through. Go ahead.
something that I think is very important that you said a couple of things. All of it is in why Paul was in prison, right?
Yeah.
In
Hmm.
prison. What you know, we may not be physically in prison as Paul was when he wrote this, but what we're in something, right? In something.
Hmm.
And through, I can do all things through, right? As
Exactly.
we grow through that
Exactly.
same word again. And it's like to me, um, y'all, only if we're in the will of God, right? If we are, because just because we can, it doesn't mean that we always do because we're not in the
That's right.
position to receive and do,
Exactly.
right?
Personally for me, once I read that scripture, I started having because I always have memory. Well, you say selective memory loss, but sometimes it comes and go. I was reminded how it's been almost 7 years, and he sustained me a very long time, but still living off the remnants of that encounter. So I fell back on the strength in the beginning of the recovery, thinking about that. It's like, wow, yeah, I got through that. I can get through this, you know. And I'm very familiar with neuro, but I was just this time it was just different. It was just tough. It was real tough. Mentally, physically, it was tough. So, and I relied back on it. I went back to that scripture. You know, I remembered who strengthened me. I remember who sustained me. I remember who continues to sustain me through my time, all the way down to the Ezekiel bread. You know what I'm saying? And I started remembering how God gave Ezekiel a recipe for bread to sustain him because there was trouble on the horizon. He was gonna need it.
You
He was
know,
gonna need it.
do you believe or do you feel that there's a level of sustaining, or it's always 100? It's just dependent upon the level that we're on. Like that's a good question, Tammy. I'm trying to put it in a different way.
Yeah,
You know
elaborate,
how we talk
elaborate that.
about how there's I believe that there's so many instances and times where we are protected and we don't know. We don't see it.
Right.
Whether it's running a little bit late for this reason, I know I've left home running late and maybe not, but
Hmm.
I've had times where I find myself thankful, like, oh God, because you run into an accident,
Right.
or whatever, something. So I've always tried to put myself in this, well, on this side of Tammy, in the situation of, I
You
look for
know.
those instances. It's almost like I'm always um, seeing God's presence, right? So does
Right.
that make sense? Do you know what I'm asking? Like, do you?
It makes, yeah, it definitely makes sense, and I think that we get in trouble when we focus on weight of this world, and we lose focus who's actually really sustaining us. Like we remove ourselves from God all the time,
Okay.
so we get so focused on the weight of the world to where we forget our principle instructions, simple instructions. Like I said on a couple podcasts ago, life is simple. We seem to make it hard, all the way down to the basic instructions. We were left with instructions. We were given instructions. All we have to do is follow. But we get so bogged down with man and everything that comes along with that, the toxicity, everything, to where we lose focus. And honestly, when you think about it, to sustain and get over the hump, all it takes is focus and discipline. Think about it
Mm.
for a second.
Yeah.
So once I settled in with the scripture, with Ezekiel, not Ezekiel, with Philippians 4:13, I was reminded, man, you just gotta get back focused. What are you talking about? You gotta get back focused. You've already done the neuro. You've been through that. All you're doing is getting a touch up. Nothing's wrong. Everything's fine. I was reminded, I'm still strong. I'm still him.
Mm.
I'm still him. And once I got that in my spirit, it's all good. You know.
Mm.
So
So let's say
go
good
ahead.
morning, Trent. We got a few people out in the chat.
Okay.
So Big Al Sal says good morning, and Miss Candy says good morning. Welcome back, Candy. We missed you.
Hey,
We
Candy, we
weren't
missed
on
you, man.
last Wednesday.
What up,
Yeah.
outside?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So good
So,
morning to you all. Hope you've had a great week.
so I was reminded. Of that. Like, you've already been through this. You're just getting touch ups. But I let the pain consume me, which is temporary. I was
Mm.
reminded that he was blind in a wheelchair, paralyzed, bedridden, all of that stuff, and you worried about this whole, you know, spasticity. You worried about the spasticity. Come on, man. So I had to, give myself a pep talk. The motivated need motivating. You know, it came in the form of Mama Kay giving me that scripture.
Oh wow, 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 wow.
What's that?
Okay, Trent. So the definition of through, right? Through THROUGH. A couple
Mm-hmm.
of things, but this one hits differently. It means moving from one side to another, right? So perhaps
Yeah,
maybe from our side to God's side. And I
that's deep.
think I have what I was trying to say, right? Like, so for us, and I do feel like it's about surrendering your life, releasing
Mm-hmm.
control, understanding that your life is our life. Our life is not our own, right? There's that song,
Right.
"To You I Belong." It is
Uh,
about belonging to God, dying to yourself, and then there's where He protects us through things that we don't know about. But
right.
when we surrender, right? When we release the control to be over our own lives, right? Then
Mm-hmm.
it's a different through. It's always activated, right? To the point where
Right.
not just God doing and we don't see, but God doing and we're see because we're connected. We've gone through ourselves, right? We've let that part
Yeah.
of us go. And
That,
God
that,
has become the way that we do anything.
that's a great point. And we talk about getting over ourselves. That's the main component of everything. Getting over whatever you're feeding yourself. Because that brain is very powerful. That brain is the most powerful organ on the body, in the body, however you want to say it. You know, that brain go to feeding you everything, and sometimes not the right thing. And so, you know, you got to get over yourself. I had to get over myself to get over the hump. It was
Mm.
me in my own way. A simple touch up, going to neuro. And here's the thing: I requested it. I requested the touch up. How you gonna get? How I'm gonna get? You know, fearful of something I requested. You know, go to complain. Oh, this is too much. What do you mean? This is what you wanted, right? This is what you wanted, right? So I literally had to talk myself through that because it's grueling, grueling.
Mm.
But they say the power of the tongue. The power is in the tongue. If I speak that, that's what's gonna happen to me. But once I, flip that up and turn it upside down on his head, it became a breeze again. So we gotta be mindful what we feeding ourselves.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
was definitely all the way in my head.
Yeah. Wow. Good stuff. Good stuff.
Yeah,
I know
yeah,
that for me, you guys, I'm telling you, I don't know how not to do it this way anymore. I think about the words of my grandmother say, "You better know him before you need him." Um, and it
yeah,
sounds like, I know I hear people and I can relate because you feel like you go through a lot. Like every time you turn around, it's something, it's something, it's something. But if you look back and think about your toughest time, like think about the thing or the person or whatever, the time
right.
that you hurt the most, right? That you were the most broken or whatever it is for you. Have you ever just sat in that and thought about how it changed you, right? Whether for the better or for the worse?
Right.
Because to me, to have this kind of power that Paul talks about, um, you got to have a relationship with God.
Yeah.
You just got to have a relationship with God, not just a temporary fix here and there. I'll come here and there. Um,
Right.
you got to have a desire for God's will over your life.
Here's the beautiful thing about having like a relationship with God, with your maker, with your creator, whatever you want to call him this morning. I was talking to a friend of mine, and I was conveying to her how different she looked to me. I've been knowing this woman for
Say
a
that
ton of
again. I'm
years.
sorry, I missed that. Your volume went down or something happened there.
I was having a conversation with a friend of mine, and I was telling her how different she is, how I'm seeing her, right? And I've known her for a ton of years, but I couldn't see her, because I was in my own way. And that's the power of God. Once you have a clear understanding on your purpose and where you're going, and God has set that path out for you, you're gonna get super vision,
Hmm.
supervision, where you seeing inward, where you saying like, I see her, not the physical, I see her, and
Hmm.
that's all. That only can come from God. You know, I finally said, it's like, I've been knowing this woman for years, but now I actually see her. That's a beautiful thing. That when God touches your life, and you know exactly what you're supposed to be doing, where you're supposed to be going. That's a different level of faithfulness. That's a different level of love, spiritual love, where you could actually love a person unconditionally from afar, and because you know, because you know, because God touched you in a way where you can't, I can't even avoid it at this point. I can't avoid it. I used to avoid it by getting multiple women before, but at this point in my life, I can't even avoid it. The fix is in. The fix is in, and that's a beautiful thing. That the fix in when God's going to fix it.
That would that be agape love?
I would say so.
Mm, okay.
I would
Okay.
say so. Yeah, I would say so. Again, the fix
See,
is
I
in.
believe that happens when you happen, when you internally, like life, there's a living and there is a living, y'all. Like
Mm.
that you will
One more time. I felt like I had to snap on that because that was a word.
there's a living
Say
and
that
there's a
again.
living. No, really,
Yeah.
there is. There like life opens up. You have spiritual eyes, spiritual ears, um, working on the spiritual tongue, right?
Yeah.
But I have it a little bit.
Yeah.
Um, but life is different. You're not in there's a saying about you're not of this world. We're in it, but not of it. You really start to feel as though you're living in a different realm of life.
Yeah.
Everything you look for the beauty and purpose in everything.
Yeah.
I'm serious,
Yeah.
in everything, even
And then
the
here's the
what
thing about
seems
the
like the
beautiful thing
worst
about
things.
the beautiful thing about that is organic. Like When you on the right path, everything is going to organically happen. Nothing's for nothing. My entire walk through this recovery and this journey that I'm on now is effortless. It's organic, very organic. But that can only happen from a supernatural power.
Hmm.
You know. But yeah, man, it's a different ride. It's a different ride. It's a beautiful ride. I tell you that.
I want to, before we jump off, y'all, I'm serious about, I've been on this wisdom thing since a few weeks ago when we started talking about, we had wisdom as our topic.
Yeah.
And Tamaria and I did, if you don't know Tamaria, it's Confidence. It's
Yeah.
Tamaria Jordan. So go look her up.
Good people.
But she has a podcast, Confidence Center of America, Confidence something, but Tamaria Jordan. Look her up. And we did a show. We were going to have it totally on something different. And we ended up nothing that we planned for. We talked about nothing that we planned for. So we dug a little bit more into wisdom and discernment, because without the wisdom and without having a life of discernment, which to me is deeply in the will of God, it is seeing
Right.
differently, hearing differently, um, speaking differently, which allows you then to live differently, right? To live
Right.
different in every aspect. And so, as we talk about or talked about wisdom and discernment, wisdom is about the how to, discernment is the what is. What is. Discernment
Mm-hmm.
perceives and it exposes real versus fake. So, hear that.
That's right.
Discernment. You got to know that in your life. You got to know who's your tribe and who to vibe with, right? You got to
It's
know.
important.
In Mark, I was reading and it talked about where John had baptized Jesus,
Mm-hmm.
and when Jesus came out the water, he saw the heavens open and the Spirit, right, come down. And
Right.
immediately after, it talks about him going in the wilderness to pray, going. And I think we talked about this, Trent. To me, for the first time, because I've read Mark so many times, and I was like, oh my God,
Mm-hmm.
he was aware of the assignment to come. So he
Right.
didn't go tell anybody. He didn't go run and tell, hey, this is what happened when I came out the water, because he saw the assignment and he knew that he had to prepare for it.
Right.
And he knew running and telling it wasn't going to do a thing for him.
Right.
Let me
Before we
go
go,
prepare.
and I'm glad you brought that up. It reminded me. I had another scripture connected to um,
Philippians.
Philippians, right? It's 27 of Psalms, right? Where we're seeking God's presence. That's very important. You see why I connected to that? It's very important. 27 of Psalms, seeking God's presence. That's where your protection's at. That's where your strength is. So that connected Philippians and 27 Psalms is connected. You think about it. Seeking the presence of God. That's where your strength is. That's where your protection is. That's where you get everything you need. Seeking His presence. Because once He's there, when I tell you, once He's in the presence, once you're in His presence, everything you need is going to come. It's
You
going to
make
be
me think about the book of
evolution is going to be very
Eli
simple.
again. You make me think
Go ahead.
about
I'm
that
sorry.
movie, The Book of Eli again, how he was just focused on the assignment. And
Yeah.
the assignment did not come without trouble, right? But
Yeah.
he didn't look at just, it was just a moment I don't want to say a moment, just a minute for him. He's like, y'all don't know what you're doing here. This, you will not
Exactly.
succeed here, because he knew what the assignment was in that movie, and he knew that it would be done. It
What
would be done.
you know is what you know.
What you know is
Exactly.
what you know. And going back to Mark, um, there's a part in there where Jesus hears God saying, my son who I am well pleased with, as he comes
Mm-hmm.
out that water. And it made me also think about how we talk about when we cross over and hear well done, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well pleased.
Yeah.
God well pleased with your life today as you live it.
Right.
Are you well pleased? Are you just faking the funk? Are you just dancing and the music ain't even playing? Right?
Mm.
So what are we doing? And if God feels far away, guess who's not where they supposed to be? It's
You.
not God. Because I
Amen.
do believe God, the word that I will never leave or forsake you. I will never put more on you than you can bear. However, we put more on ourselves. See, every good decision ain't the right decision, y'all.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we got to get. Good, evil prevails because good people say and do nothing, right? And wisdom is about the practical moral skill of navigating life successfully in a way that pleases God. Not Tammy, not Trent, not Candy, not Big Al, but in a way that pleases God. That's when you
Right.
can do all things. You can grow through everything. And how you do anything is how you do everything. Because the spirit within you don't flip flop. Don't flip flop. Off the
Absolutely.
fence on one side. There
Absolutely.
was a time in Mark where they came and told Jesus, "Hey, they're calling for you. They're calling for you. Everybody in the town is calling for you." He didn't acknowledge it. He said, "It's time to go to the next town." Basically, my work here is done. You got to
You
know
got
when to
somewhere to
go.
go.
You got to
You
know
got
when to
somewhere to go.
stay. You
Mm-hmm.
got to know when not to go, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you don't have to make the choice of do you stay or not. Because sometimes we're going through things because we're in places and with people that we were never meant to be because we were out of the will of God
Bingo.
when we made that decision, right? So that's all I have, Trent.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Good stuff. You got any announcements this morning so we can get out of here?
Oh, yes. Oh, I didn't bring it with me. Ah, I knew it was
So
something else
before,
I wanted to do last night. I wanted to upload the flyer,
yeah, it's all good.
but that's okay.
So before we get out of here, if you ever miss Wisdom Wednesday or anything that's on the Tell Kitty channel, go ahead and subscribe, man. All the DSPs.
So you guys, I'm
Go
sorry.
ahead,
Go
sorry.
ahead. Were you done? I'm hearing a little feedback from you again. So sorry if I interrupted you.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I'll pull my date up here. So November the 7th, which is a few months up, we are preparing for his and hers conversation. It's going to be a light event where we're going to have a panel um, discussion about relationship, love, life, and hopefully what we're going to do is create a safe place and space for people to bring it all to the table because we're
Yep.
failing as it relates to we start well, right? We start well in our relationships, oh, this is my boo, he's the one, she's the one, and then all of a sudden he and she is gone, right? And then we
Right.
start the process over again only to have the same results. So what that tells me is it's not just about a man, it's not just about a woman, right? The man is not the one doing all the things wrong, and neither is the woman the one doing all the things right. And I see so much on Facebook where people are um well, I'll just say this. It was a question on Facebook that asked, what do you wish you had done before your marriage ended, right? And a lot of people were really, really negative about it. But keep in mind, this is someone that they once loved, apparently, because they married them, probably had children as well. And now they hate them. They hate them according to their words.
Interesting.
My answer
Yeah.
was, and it would not have always been this answer, I wished I had healed. I wish I had healed, right? I wish I would have put responsibility on myself to change who I was, the parts in me that could have played in the breakup, right? And I remember quite a few people came along and said, "Hey, that was a powerful answer." But it's honest because I wasn't all right in that, and he wasn't all
Right.
wrong. But we
So
just could not get
let's
to a
not
place.
let's not give it all. Let's not give it all.
No, that's
Because in
it. That's
November,
not all. That's laying the foundation, right?
okay.
That's being honest. That's being I'm taking responsibility and accountability for my part, and that's what we don't do.
Right.
That's what we don't do. And if you don't do it in your last relationship, you're going to take it with you in the next relationship. So it is about coming together and having some deep rooted conversations that don't point the finger outwardly, right? It's an internal thing. So November the 4th, Saturday. I just got
November
an
2nd.
email from the lady last night. Well, I just saw it. She sent it a few days ago. Um, I'm going to do some adjustments to the time. And I just replied back, say, I'm going to come in and I'll talk so that we can
Okay.
get it all changed on paper. Right.
You said 4th.
So I'll have the
November
exact
7th.
time.
November 7th. 7th.
7th. I said that. Yep.
No, you said 4th.
Your sound is awful right now. I don't know what's going on over there, but you need to get it together in Louisiana.
Knock it off. Knock it off. We appreciate you guys for tuning in each and every Wednesday. If you missed an episode, head on over to the Taylor Kenny channel and subscribe. You'll get a conversation prime time, conversation friends, and my favorite, Wisdom Wednesday.
Hey, you know what? I said here as if everybody listening knows who we are. Here in Cordova, Tennessee. That's where the event will be. I just said here. So
That's what you said. That's exactly what you said. A time will be had. A time will be had. Anything else? We'll get out.
I do not have anything. Y'all just go be great.
Okay.
Go
Good
be
stuff.
great.
Catch me on Monday with DJ Slash for a conversation prime time where we live stream the podcast directly from TikTok. We live stream from TikTok each and every Monday, 7 Central, 8 Eastern. So you guys go out and be great. I'm gonna get to this gym, get it popping.
All right. Well, have a great day, everybody. Wisdom Wednesday. Live in wisdom. Live in the will of God. Surrender. Release that control because you have no control.
Bingo. You
Bingo.
gotta go ahead and be epic.